and welcome back to another episode of the Borderlands podcast or show here. And I just wanted to talk today about a topic that's very near and dear to all of our hearts here at Sanity Desk, or sorry, that's my company, sorry, at Borderlands, which is helping people with the refugee crossing. And in fact, this whole project started with the refugee situation that we had when our company, we moved people out of Ukraine early. Right before the war started, we moved part of our team. And then after the war started, we started evacuating the rest of them who wanted to get out. And really the genesis or the starting point of this project, which is now becoming much bigger based on these broadcasts, has been helping people. The reason why I'm doing this show is to inform people that I know about what Ukraine's going through, because I've lived here for three years. I was a Ukrainian-Russian history professor in West Point in the Army, and I just really care deeply about the country. I'm engaged to my fiance's from there, and future in-laws are still in there. So I wanted to talk today about what's going on at the border and some evacuations experiences from inside of Ukraine with a couple of our guests here. And I first want to let Robert come on. Robert is an old friend of mine who we used to work together in the U.S. Army. We were colleagues. We were in the same scout platoon back in 2001. We were together when September 11th, when our country, America, was attacked, and that was traumatic for us. Even though we weren't in America, we just saw that and felt that as a country. So I guess we've lived through an event like this, seen the outcomes from an event like this in terms of our country going to war afterwards, and me deploying a couple times to Iraq based on that. And so Robert now he's back in the U.S. working in the government. And one of the things that's really amazing about this show is we've managed to raise over $45,000 through GoFundMe, plus another $15,000 from private contributions beyond GoFundMe, where people just wanted to contribute more to pay for the evacuation of people from Ukraine and help us facilitate that. And not just our team. We've covered the costs of our team. We're now searching for and partnering with a nonprofit that we can donate our funds to beyond what we've raised, and keep raising money to help refugees get out of Ukraine that want to, or people who are stuck in Ukraine who want help, whether it's just phone support or supplies, medical supplies. We're trying to get people inside the country. Raising. That's really what we're trying to do. And we've got over 60,000 raised, and Robert was the beneficiary, or his family was one of the beneficiaries of the staff. Anton here, we'll get to his story in a moment after Robert shares his, because Anton evacuated from Kharkiv during the fighting and is now in Western Ukraine. And we've moved him from my tech company, over to the Borderlands project, because we have extra funds to cover him to just be a support representative using the software that we have, and his great language skills. He knows Polish and Ukrainian and Russian, and is able to answer anyone's calls and talk them through tough choices that they may need to make related to evacuation. So Robert, why don't you just share your experience, and really love to hear from you on that, and get your feedback for everyone.
Certainly. So starting last week, my wife and I found your podcast because we knew you were in the region. I didn't realize you were in Ukraine, in Kyiv at the time, but we found you, and you evacuated down to Poland. We started watching your podcast and heard about this Borderland project, and we sparked an interest in it, and we enjoyed listening to hear you speak about what was going on. Come Monday, I get a call from my sister, who's kind of frantic because my nephew's wife is also Ukrainian, and she's got family that is stuck in Ukraine. And so I get a call from my wife and ask me, hey, why don't you call Sam and see if maybe he can help with this Borderland project that you have? And I did. I called you, You answered on like the second ring, which was amazing. And I explained to you what was going on. You gave me pretty clear, concise instructions on what to do or have Olga to do. I called back to my sister and told her to call her son's wife and tell her what to do with the application. And that when she was done with the application and sent it, to call me back and I'll call you, which is what we did. So she had at the time she had two sisters, Masha and Lesia, that were in Septivka. I think that's the name of the town there, and they were needing to get out. And we were aware that her mother and her aunt, who's elderly, were going to stay back. And from the time it was just two people. So from the time that I called you back, Sam, it was probably less than 20 hours that they were in Romania. However, within an hour, they were contacted by a representative of the Borderlands Project and told that from Septivka that they needed to take a bus. They didn't want to wait that long, so they went ahead and drove. And they drove down to Terra Blanchi. And there was a cousin of theirs down there, and they actually picked up some more people. And once they got there, they walked from their house across the border into Saret. At the border, they were able to bypass the lines. They had their Ukrainian passports, and of course, Masha and Lesia had their international passports, and they were able to get by. Made contact with the Borderlands Project and representative in Ukraine or in Romania, and then from there they were taken to a Christian volunteer group where they took them in, and then they were given food and shelter and kept warm because it's absolutely freezing there. And then from that they were aided in making contact with the embassy there in Sarit, Romania, and are currently in the process of getting the visas that they need to get to come to America. And at last, when I talked to Olga, which was earlier this morning, it was actually 10 adults and 7 children that came across. So it mushroomed from 2 to 17. And that's a direct reflection of the Borderland Project and you, Sam. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
And they were having one concern that they had that maybe people need to be aware of is most adults have the Ukrainian passport, which is not a problem. All these passports are, applied for and issued by in Kyiv, which is an issue now. And children usually don't get them until they get a little bit older. And so when they get into these countries and stuff like that and start working with the embassies, they're having a little bit of problem because the children obviously don't have Ukrainian passports and don't have international passports. So that seems to be what's holding up the punch there. But the primary thing was to get them out of hostile territory, and which y'all did with flying colors. So in less than 20 hours, we had 17 people across, and that's what I have.
And just quickly, I'm going to bring Anton in. Anton, you're one of our live operators. We'll get to your story in a moment. Tell us how you help people plan their trips based on what's going on at the border and your own experience, and a lot of the people that we've worked with.
Well, we reach out to people to know exactly how many are they and how mobile are they, and usually they have their preferences. They're afraid to go by train, or on the contrary, they prefer to go by train. And we kind of approximately plan the trip for them. And amazingly enough, there is also a document where that has been updated on the quantity of the cars on the borders, which is quite amazing too. So I don't know who does this, but it's like live document. So that's where we try to kind of get people out. Not people are really afraid right now. I mean, not all of them would take the risks right now. People just kind of you have to push them a little bit to kind of to really, pack and leave. Mm-hmm. Every situation is different. I mean,
yeah. So Robert, you're an American. You used to be in the Army. You retired from there, and now you're working in the government. How did you feel when you saw the war start, and what was your feeling before and after, this last week? How's your perspective changed or been updated?
Well, my perspective on Russia has never really changed. When I first came into the Army, I was at the back end, the latter part of the Cold War, and so Russia was the primary threat. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about their capabilities, and was in Germany when the Berlin Wall come down. I left very soon after that and went to Hawaii. So, Russia was the big threat for when I first got in, and so Russia was always the threat, and that's what we were trained young when we first were young soldiers, and so it doesn't really surprise me. Um, I think he's a bully, and what he's doing to Ukrainian people is just an absolute atrocity. And I think the whole world also reflects my thinking, and Russia's showing their true colors.
And you, one of the things that's been amazing to me from so many old friends, I literally haven't spoken to you probably in 17 years, 18 years or
That's
more,
right.
and is how much everyone wants to contribute and feels connected over this crisis, and how much they also admire the bravery and resilience of the Ukrainian people. What's your community feel and everything?
Absolute inspired to see what true patriotism is. To see these Ukrainians take up arms against massive foe, it's really something to behold. So we have a lot of the yellow and blue flags flying around town. You see them, and we do wish we could do more, and there is more we could do. And so I just reach out to the people on the podcast here, just by telling somebody about your Borderlands project, having them tell a friend. Just start using your network. Let's get these innocent people out, because I don't think Russia really cares if it's a woman or a child or a man, a combatant, a non-combatant. He's just going in to roll over the entire Ukraine country.
Yeah, no, it's Ukrainian flags flying in America. I never thought I would have seen the day. And I remember watching Saturday Night Live on Saturday. They had a Ukrainian anthem. It's amazing. I never thought I'd see the day. 3 years ago or 3 years ago, you have presidential candidate. We've had presidential politics trashing Ukraine, and all of a sudden everyone sees what I've seen for a long time, and it's really good to hear that. And I'm glad that this country could inspire Europe and America all to unite, and really the world. I mean, 4 countries refused to condemn Russia at the United Nations, which was unprecedented in terms of people marking their disapproval of a power that before this point, I think everyone kind of feared and didn't want to cross. And that, when a bully gets beat up and punched in the nose a bit, they tend to lose their power. So, well, it's great to hear that, Robert, and just thank you for your feedback. And for any of you who are watching this and you feel a little bit helpless and you wish that you could help, that's exactly why we're going to keep doing the GoFundMe, which we're going to turn into a nonprofit that I'm going to form, the Borderlands Project. But we're partnering with a nonprofit now, seeking and talking to some partners that are working in relief efforts for Ukrainian refugees to contribute the funds that we've raised and the surplus that we need beyond our team for other people like Robert's. And it's great to hear we could impact 20 people getting to safety, helping them with all the logistics. It's so stressful when you're fleeing a combat zone. It's very hard to think about all those things clearly, and that's what we're here to help people do. So if you want to contribute and hear some personal stories like this from people like Robert, we'd love to help you do that. So thanks for joining us, Robert. And I know you got to get back to work, but go do some great stuff for the U.S. government.
Hey, Sam, great seeing you again. Stay safe. And Anton, thanks for everything you did.
Bye, Robert.
All right.
Thanks for the warmers.
All right, bye, guys. Okay, so now, Anton, let's move on to you here. I've got Vlad, who's joining us. You guys are both in Western Ukraine as men. All men have to be in the country for now, based on the general mobilization order, martial law. But I wanted to speak with both of you about what it was like, your experience in the beginning of the war in Kharkiv, and then Kiev, Vlad. And I'll get to Vlad here in a moment. But Anton, you're from Kharkiv, and what happened? What's your initial experience from the war, and what were you doing when it started?
Yeah, well, I'm originally from Kharkiv, but I lived or live, I don't know, in Kyiv. But yeah, I was in Kharkiv at the moment. I was well aware about the risks, but for me it was like, I don't know, like 50-50 or 60-40 that wouldn't kind of happen. And the stuff I had in Kharkiv, I just it was quite important for me. So yeah, when it all started, I was there, and kind of just woke up from the sounds of the explosions at 5 a.m. and well, kind of instantly knew that this is it. I've never heard the artillery explosions in my life, but somehow, just instantly know that that's something you never heard before. And judging on the situation, well, it's kind of, it started. So quickly check the news, and yeah, heard that it's official that Putin declared the war on Ukraine. And well, same moment, I bought myself a ticket for the bus, went to the station by foot because it was impossible already to call a taxi. And at around 7 a.m. there were already huge queues to the cash machines and to the water disposable machines. We have those in Ukraine where you kind of just can get water. So everybody were already alert. It was already mayhem at the bus station, and the system somehow, I don't know if the system of the bus system wasn't already functioning properly because of the quantity of the requests. So at some point they were like, no, you're not getting in because your ticket was bought but wasn't registered, and I wasn't only one like that. So people it was like a little bit chaotic at the station, but finally they kind of manually wrote us down with ink and pen and let us in at the bus. And for the next probably 2.5 hours, we maybe passed maybe 3 kilometers. So not even out of the city. And the traffic jam, you can see that it's going well. I know Kharkiv well, so I approximately knew where. So it's 15 more kilometers until the traffic jams approximately will end. So I stepped off the bus and I went to the station because the station was still the train station. The station was still near. I knew there should have been a couple of trains. Arrived at the station, lots of people there, distant sounds of the explosions, and first train didn't arrive. The line where it showed that the train is arriving, it just disappeared, and the other train appeared there. So waited for a second one, and the second one arrived. And I mean, it was still relatively easy to leave back then because it was 6 days ago or 5 days ago, 7 days ago. I'm not sure. Well, anyway, the first day. Now the situation is much worse at the stations, as far as I know. So, well, I was still on a train in a compartment where everybody had their own place, because right now the compartment for 4 will carry 10 people. So it was relatively easy for me to get to Kyiv, and all my documents were in Kyiv, so I had to go to Kyiv first. Arrived to Kyiv at night, and then took a taxi back to the station. Went home, took my documents, went back to the station, and just accidentally heard that the evacuation train, I hadn't got a ticket from Kyiv to the Western Ukraine, that some evacuation train is there at the track. So I just simply went there, and these evacuation trains, they are free. But this one was already packed, like there are now, like 8 people in the compartment. So lots of people, lots of African students fleeing. But yeah, I was quite lucky because I was like there on the right time. I mean, it's we maybe waited for like an hour at the station, the train, and then it's left for Lviv. Both trains from Kharkiv to Kyiv and from Kyiv to Lviv, they were both late, like 2.5 hours at least, or 3. But that's, I mean, predictable, yeah. Yeah, well, so that was like 24 hours until I'm in Lviv, right? Or more, actually more. Yeah, I was there by in the afternoon, and late afternoon I went to Truskovets, where our company, your company, had a room booked in the hotel, where part of the team went before. Yeah, so I went there by bus again. Like took longer than usually, but you know, like lots of people everywhere. Yeah, so well, from there, we moved together with Vlad already. We already moved to Drohobych after a couple of days, and from Drohobych I moved to a family of my friends in Stry, Western Ukraine, small city, and been staying here for like 4 days again, I guess. I mean, time kind of passes in a strange motion, strange speed. I can't count days, and yeah, relatively safe and easy trip comparing to what the people are experiencing right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, Anton, you still have relatives in Kharkiv, and it sounds like you made it out the first day. The first day the fighting started, you made it out on a train, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then the next day you made it from Kiev.
Yep.
Okay.
At night. Yeah.
How are your relatives doing right now in Kharkiv? I know it's very tough fighting there. It's surrounded.
I've got only a very old grandmother who is like in a hospice there, and she's like 88, but and she can't walk. And I mean, it's a good place. I trust them there, and they take care of her. I try to take care of her like in the distance, but there's no chance of like moving her, because she's sick in the car immediately, and it's kind of, I don't think she would even I mean, I'm not sure if she can survive something like that. I'm pretty sure she is not aware that the war is going on, and I hope she doesn't know about that. So she's like very, very fragile, and well, been in touch with the hospice, and they kind of they have all the stuff they need, thankfully, to the volunteers. So that's basically the only relative that's like in Kharkiv from my side. But yeah, but lots of friends still kind of there, others trying to leave.
How are your friends?
Some of them were hesitant about different. Some of them went like same day or the day after. Others are sleeping for like 8th day. They're staying in the metro stations and sleeping at the metro stations, and basically not going out, and actually going around through the tunnels from station to station, volunteering, bringing food from one people to another, which is pretty surreal. I can't imagine this as they say, that that's something to tell their kids about. Yeah, but still, Kharkiv is being bombed actively. Others even very hesitant to leave, who said from the beginning that no, like we're not going anywhere, we're staying. Even they now, they kind of, well, I mean, they're trying to leave. Some of them went to the territorial defense, of course. Yeah, so these kind of guys, thanks a lot to them, the brave people. Others are volunteering, and I mean the amount of volunteering initiative everywhere across Ukraine and in Kharkiv especially, because it's like probably one of the toughest place to be right now, is amazing. Like you know, I called a guy, a friend of mine, asking to bring stuff to my grandmother, and he was standing right at the spot where at the square where, like, 20 minutes later the rocket exploded at the center of Kharkiv. You know, like the square, it was like before the day before yesterday, or the like 3 days ago, and he was just standing there, you know, like, and said, yeah, all right, just like we need to finish our stuff with medics and army people, and then I'm going there. And 20 minutes later I see that the rocket exploded exactly at that place. So you imagine how tough is volunteering there. It's basically under rockets.
Yeah.
So friends, I mean, yeah, everybody is doing what they can. So, but everybody is in a state of shock, but different kinds of state of shock. But basically, all of them, yeah, you can't really wrap your mind around the stuff that's happening with your city.
Yeah. And as far as I know, the Russian forces haven't successfully entered the city. They're just surrounding it and bombing it, because every time they come in, they get killed.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They can't reach the city. So the Russian border is 40 kilometers from Kharkiv. So for the planes or for the artillery, it's basically easy target. Yeah, I don't know how much it takes. 40 minutes until you are, and then you're back in Belgorod. Yeah, it's like it's very close, 40 kilometers. I mean, it's nothing. Yeah. So that's what they're doing. They're just launching. You know, at first, I guess, first day it was really the first bombings. They were directed at military objects, but that was maybe the strategy they hold for maybe half a day, until they started like throwing bombs everywhere. The civilian infrastructure and residential areas, whatever.
Yeah. So Anton, what are your thoughts on the overall? I mean, you've been from Kharkiv for a long. Obviously, you grew up there, and you and I met in Poland several years ago, and I think this has definitely changed Ukraine in just 8 days. What do you think is going to emerge from this, from the people you know, and the future of Ukraine?
Well, Ukraine was always like a quite divided country. This division wasn't very strict, or there wasn't much conflict in it, but it was somehow, but like what we are seeing now and what we're experiencing now as a nation is unprecedented. I mean, we've never seen anything like that before. People are so homogeneous, so united, that, I mean, nobody could have imagined that. What can emerge out of this? I don't know. Time will tell. It depends on how the war will kind of end. But people are very enthusiastic. I mean, even considering the number of refugees and the number of people who left Ukraine in the previous years, I think we will experience a huge kind of flow of people back into Ukraine to kind of to rebuild it, because people are proud of being Ukrainian right now as never before, I guess. So I think we've got. I mean, I really want to believe that we have a bright future in front of us as a country, because that's something so dramatic happened. It kind of revolutionized what people think of themselves here.
Yeah. Well, Kharkiv is actually one of those cities that Russia, I think, in some dreamland, thought would be easy to liberate.
Yeah.
You guys are very close to the Russian border. It's historically a very Russia-friendly city. In fact, in 2014, I don't know if you were there, but the Russian flag was raised by local citizens. Maybe they were Russians who crossed the border. I don't know the exact story, but it looked like Kharkiv might have fallen in 2014 to Russia, like Donetsk and Lugansk did. These cities that are now under rebel control, separatist control, backed by Moscow. Why do you think that Kharkiv is so different now and so resistant to Russia, even though most of them, there's a lot of native Russians living there, and everyone in the metropolis at least speaks Russian primarily at home?
That's true. Traditionally, Russian-speaking city. I mean, Russia really had shown its face since 2014. Like gradually, more and more people became aware of what Russia is actually like. Some people still had their illusions back in 2013, 14, that like Russia is something to be, something to be a part of. But like as during this what happened in Donetsk and Lugansk, what they made out of Donetsk and Lugansk, and we had a huge number of refugees from Donetsk and Lugansk, and still have like people have their homes destroyed second time during 8 years. Yeah, it's fucking amazing. So people are more aware of what Russia is really like, and Russia. People understand that it's not an option to be part of it. Even I guess in 2016, you still could have heard some kind of conversations in the street or whatever, wherever, that's kind of politically charged, that kind of pro-Russian kind of style. But now, I mean, we've seen, I don't know, have you seen like traditionally pro-Russian mayor of Odessa? Yeah, he's speaking Ukrainian now. He never did this before. Dobkin, the ex-mayor of Kharkiv, a very contradictory person. Yeah, like traditionally pro-Russian. Even he's like he can't deny the fact that Russia is like an aggressor here. Yeah, and so even such people who were absolutely sure in what, and I mean, they've done a lot for Kharkiv to be part of Russia in 2014. The Dobkin and company definitely received a lot of money and so on from Russia. So people just more aware, and also, well, I mean, it's a complicated process. I guess we became more open since 2014 to Europe, right? Lots of people actually had the chance to kind of open the world to them, in one way or another, and see what it is really like, and make their decisions like more balanced on what they've seen already, not like on the media coverage. Just from their experience, they see, they can compare. Yeah, in this sense, the abolition of visas to Europe was like a very, let's say, wise move from European Union, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's really opened lots of people's eyes to not only to what Russia is really like, but also what Europe is really like. Yeah. So and now it's, well, I mean, nobody has any doubts about where they want to be and who they are.
Who they are.
Yeah.
That's yeah, it's pretty amazing, I think, to see the change in Kharkiv, a very historically Russian-leaning city, now fiercely fighting and inspiring the world with their courage and resilience in this. So, last question, Drohobych, what happened to you there, and why did you leave that?
Yeah, Drohobych was pretty fun. We arrived to Drohobych with Vlad, and
so you and Vlad met up near the border. It's a town, right, or a border crossing?
no, we met at Truskovets.
Okay.
And yeah, then our hotel stay ended. Yeah, so the flat was rented in Drohobych. So we arrive in Drohobych and we go like to get some groceries and stuff. And people are so alert. It's amazing. We probably were speaking Russian to each other or something in the store. Remember, like, yeah. And the guy at the grocery store was like, "Where are you from? You know, like, what are you doing here?" And we are from there, and that's what we are doing here. And he said, like, "All right," and that was it. So we go to our flat. Everything's fine. Yeah, the lady who rented it to us, she was really nice and helpful and stuff. And then I go out to the balcony and I see some neighbors gathered there, and they're like, "Come down, we need to talk to you." So I take my passport, I go down to speak to them, and they're like, "Where are you from, and what are you doing here, and so on, and who is there with you?" And Vlad's going down with his passport too. So we're speaking to them, we're describing our situation and why we are there. Seemed perfectly normal and okay that people are alert in such a way, because, well, you know, who could this be? You know, they don't have. Truskovets is a touristic spot, yeah, but Drohobych not so much, especially the district I believe that we were in. So even in well, we described our situation to neighbors, maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 of them, and but they probably didn't believe, because like half an hour later there was like a knock on the door, and a few guys with machine guns show up, the police. Yeah, and 2 or 3 more dressed as civilians, and they were like started checking on us, what are we doing here, and checking our stuff and documents. So they were like, well, they were even more alert, I would say. One guy was like holding his machine gun like that, you know, like he's ready there to. And me and Vlad, I think we're relatively peaceful looking. I mean,
Yeah,
I believe.
I like to hire scary looking guys for my.
Yeah. Well, it was. I mean, it wasn't like a very pleasant experience, I would say, because for half an hour probably they were there and checked like all our stuff, made our photos, checked our phones, our like searches, internet searches, and I think they were somehow discouraged to find that there's nothing, I mean, on us to kind of to be worried about, but still, you know, what the feeling I had is that if something went wrong in Drohobych, anything, we would be locked in, just, you know, as a precaution.
Yeah, you were a suspected enemy, right?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, you never know, and I understood this, that I wouldn't be able to sleep and work there. I just so I had an option. I told Vlad that maybe he would like to go to. Vlad, you said you can go to Mukachevo, but Vlad said no. Come on, nothing special about it. So he's probably a more calm person. But I decided that it wouldn't allow me to kind of, and I had like my share of stress before in Kharkiv, and then during this transportation, and that one was like, I was like, no, I'm not kind of staying here. So I decided to go to Stri, and that's where I'm now. Yeah.
Got it. So Vlad, you were from you were with so Vlad's my fiance's brother, future brother-in-law, and he's a digital marketer who's actually working on producing this show, helping find guests and get preparation before and after. So Vlad, what were your thoughts? Were you more or less worried than Anton when you got? I mean, Katya was telling me she thought you were going to get dragged off to the army or something. What did you think?
No, not really. Kind of. I've been even going to the military station here because there is a new law that all people that relocate to the western part of the country need to go to be set for the military, I don't know, list or something. And kind of when I came there, I saw a lot of people that came with their stuff, with their like bags, and been ready to go to the, I don't know, to the military base or something. I came to the guy. It was a long queue with these guys that received the letter that they have to visit the station. So I came to the guy. He told me kind of that I need to go to another place, but it was a queue there, so I decided not to go there. I will go there tomorrow. But there is a law today that there is a military law that all the men have to, like all the men that have military experience have to visit these military stations to prepare for the war. So in case I don't have any experience, so like I'm useless for them. I cannot help, so they don't even like talk with with people like me that don't have experience. So right now they're interested with the guys that know what to do, that don't need to be learned, so they could do something. So
Okay.
that's why I don't worry.
So right now, when you went to the recruiting station, they turned you away because they're just trying to get men who already have military experience. And I guess there's what, 700,000 or 800,000 people in Ukraine with war experience now already from the last 8 years.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there are enough people for this. So that's
Yeah.
why I cannot help them. So that's why I'm helping
Yeah.
with this Borderlands project. So I feel that I even help people. I just feel it today because like the previous days were some little bit nervous, but
Yeah.
just like today in the morning I realized that I can do something. Uh, everything is normal. Even like yesterday, I even been joking a little with my friends because before that time, this previous 5 days, kind of, I didn't have any mood. I was, just like totally calm and trying to do something not to be stressed. That's what
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
okay.
Well, it's good to have you and your sister working together on a project. I see that your parents somehow got you two to get along well growing up. So it's great to have you both working on it. So Vlad, where are you from? Tell us a little bit about where you grew up, and quickly, why is your town famous?
I'm like actually from Kryvyi Rog. This like I would say industrial city. Yeah. Not really interesting. I had some few friends there, so we had fun during learning in school. After I finished the school, I went to the university in Kiev, and since that time, I'm staying in Kiev for more than 10 years, I guess, about 11 or 12, something like this. There's a university. Like I'm an energy saving manager, something like this. So like I've been studying the solar panels, like renewable sources of the energy, but kind of that wasn't too much interesting for me. I mean, the work for the new made specialist is not kind of. I tried that once, and kind of I didn't enjoy that, so I decided to do something else. So I enjoyed the marketing, the IT industry, like digital. So that's why I'm starting to doing this. So I work with digital for, I guess, for 4 years. Yeah, I guess 4 years. So yeah, since the time kind of I've been doing so, like this digital world give me, like why didn't I left when you told, because this digital world give me like the illusion that kind of
Oh,
you're totally free, kind of the
okay. So
reason.
let me jump in there because this goes to the next question. You're living in Kiev,
Yeah,
um, and the war started. Why had you not left Kiev yet when the war started? Because
you mean before?
yeah, you and I had been talking for a while. So
Yeah,
um, okay, so what did you think when I made your sister leave to Western Ukraine over a week before? What were your thoughts?
why do I think so? Because I think because you've seen the war, you understand what this. Kind of up to my experience, what I've seen is just like the situations on the east side. I mean, in Donetsk and Lugansk, kind of, and kind of that, kind of for 8 years, we're really addicted to that, and that war, that being like a week ago, so that wasn't dangerous. So kind of, so that's why I've been thinking like, okay, it could be stronger, but not too much. So I was understanding that kind of something could happen, but I was also sure that our militaries could defend for the same for some time, so I could relocate. That's what I told you, and this happened like this. But the one thing I didn't expect is that kind of if it would be started, so this military law would begin, and kind of it so was unexpected for me that somebody could limited my movements from the country. This was just one thing that was so unexpected, and yeah, this was a miss. Kind of if I would know this before, of course I would go out earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's why kind of this plan a little bit. So just like one small important part was missed, and this is the case I didn't live like before.
Yeah.
But you see, I relocated from Kiev, and kind of it's okay even being here. But yeah,
Well, what was it like when the war started? What were you doing? And you're in Kiev. What tell us about that day and what happened?
like I've been sleeping like a normal person at 5 a.m. It's normal to sleep, but when the sound, I didn't hear anything because like mostly I sleep like a dead, so I don't hear anything. But Alona came to me and told like, wake up, it's like something happened outside, some bombs are falling. I woke up, checked the news, like nothing in the news, just really nothing. Think this strange. Like firstly, I even couldn't believe I'm living like in a, how would say, in a district where there's a lot of like 25 floor buildings, and I was outside and no windows are lighting.
Hmm.
I said like, that's strange. Maybe something strange going. But I was understanding that there is no smoke without fire.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we wake up and like started to pack in bags. I went to the supermarket to get some cash, like in the normal panic normal panic situation, you just go and take your cash. Yeah, I need that cash but not too much. You see, banks started to work in 24 hours, I guess, so they stopped to work for just little, then they limited some credit usage, and like after 8 hours, so it was okay.
Yeah.
So no need with the cash at all.
And so you
But yeah.
drove out of Kiev the first day the fighting started, right?
Yeah, just in the morning, I guess, after 2 hours. We just pack our stuff. Friends came on the car, pick up us, and we started to go. So it was like, I remember you sent me that like photos of the traffic jam, traffic lights.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, okay, traffic light, traffic jams. Anyway, need to go. Anyway, so yeah, we were like going, like we had a crazy driver. So, and kind of people in this situation. Why did I stay in Kiev? Because I mostly enjoy watching people changing their emotions. And like before, the week before, it was like people on the street were really like changing every day. So every day they were like, I don't know, people are changing. So, and I enjoy watching this. This may be crazy, but it's this. And when we were driving by the car, so there is like three lines in one side and three lines in other side, and all the cars are going to from out the city. Yeah. So like, yeah,
no one was driving to Kiev. No one minded, huh?
nobody wanted to go to the Kiev, just few cars, going to this side, and people, they stay in a jam. Kind of these three lines are free, but people stay, and kind of we were just going with these lines. So that's why we were going really fast. It was a lot of crashes on the road, like really a lot of. That look like in a horror film when, I don't know, Star Wars happened. But when we left, like get to the middle of the road, so it started normal. So it was like normal travel, and I came to the border the hour after the crossing border was limited, just like an hour. Yeah.
So you went straight to the border and they just closed it for men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a big traffic jam, so I was, kind of at this moment I really, hated the cars that are using fuel because it was like a traffic jam, like three lines of traffic, cars are staying but working, and I'm moving with this like 4 or 5 kilometers, breathing this air.
Yeah.
And it's so disgusting. So that's why like electric cars are much more battery. But in the same situation when we were driving, I cannot imagine like how in this situation Tesla could drive. Like you have 500 kilometers battery.
You need to talk to Elon about how Tesla can solve that problem in the future with
Yeah, how to
satellite charging from Starlink so
Yeah.
I agree. That would have been a disaster.
Yeah.
So Vlad, just so you've had that experience with Anton there, and how's the situation now? I know you said that you're working on this project really gives you a lot of purpose and some positive energy and mood to feel like you're contributing. But how's the overall mood of the people in Western Ukraine right now, and what are you seeing?
Actually, I don't know because I'm not coming out at all. I just bought some food and I don't need to come out. But I don't know. Here it's really calm. So I'm like in the most safe part from the war in Ukraine, I guess. So I guess better is just like if I cross the mountains or if I go to mountains, so it would be like 100% safer.
Yeah.
But here is nothing happening. It's just like small city. People are going to do something. We were seeing like on the main people were doing some nets for tanks. They just purchased some like net how is I guess net, and added there some stripes of the textile in like green lines and so on, so to mask tanks. So this is what I'm seeing about the military, and of course a lot of people are going to this military station, so that like main guys say like, have you switched off the heating in the apartment and your like wife and children are safe, so you can go. It's like two rules, to go to the war: switch off the heat and save your family. That's it.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well,
yes.
Vlad, it's great to have you on here and just share with you. Last thing I think you didn't mention, and I'll just mention about your hometown. There's a famous person from there.
Yeah.
And apparently, Kryvyi is, I think, the most valuable metal factory in Europe, right? That's very, very valuable industry. And that must be where President Zelensky gets his famous balls that apparently can't be lifted with the helicopters.
Yeah. Iron balls. Yes, it's really like I cannot imagine the situation he has, because like the presidents that we had before, they were just like talking, having fun, and stolen money. So it was good for them. And here, when we get the person from the comedy industry, he's not so funny, right now.
Yeah.
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 But
Anton, how do you feel about President Zelensky? I don't know if you voted for him or what you thought of him before, but how do you feel?
I was hesitant to vote. I happened to be in Georgia during the voting and weren't able to vote. But I think he surprised a lot of people, me included. I mean, so he has my support, and well, I mean, he really kind of showed best side possible from him, I guess. Well, I think his support is like 90% right now, something like that.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, uh, rarely I trusted a politician so much.
Yeah.
So never before actually. So well,
but they limit people.
Yeah.
well,
They just limit people. This
Yeah.
is the problem.
but I mean, like, yeah, Poroshenko is commanding a battalion or something, like everybody is jumping in this wagon, but still Zelensky is kind of setting the example for a lot of people, I guess. I mean, he fulfills his duty the best, I guess, possible way.
And it's really setting the example for all these mayors that
Yeah,
are
true.
following his lead. I mean, I don't think Ukraine would still be fighting in an organized manner if their president had left.
Lead, yeah, true. And he's well, he tried to hold like the middle ground, I guess, always. So, and now, well, I mean, we'll see. He really surprised a lot of people, definitely. I might think even that he surprised himself to some point.
Yeah.
So judging by where he actually is coming from, that's amazing. That's the story. That's more fantastic than any fantasy. Like being like a comedy man, then having this TV series where he plays the president, then winning the elections, then going to war and actually
You forgot the impeachment with the American president, and then COVID, and then the war. But yeah.
Tough
So,
life. Yeah, well,
yeah.
but he's definitely kind of he's an aspiring example.
Mhm. All right. Well, listen, guys. I'm gonna thank you for both of you joining, and it's great to hear but all of your perspectives. That one of the goals of this show is to just let Ukrainians talk about what's going on from all parts of the world, whether you're inside the country like you in the West, or inside Kyiv where other people are, or anyone else who wants to, and Vlad, Anton, please share this with your friends and family, and maybe they'll inspire us with some other potential guests who can talk to us from wherever. And like Robert, people from around the world. Anyone has an interest or something to add to the conversation, we'd love to hear from you. If you know someone who needs help evacuating, please refer them to our site, borderlands.com.ua. That's UA for Ukraine. And Borderlands is Ukraine in English, is what Ukraine means, is Borderlands. And last but not least, I'm going to do my slideshow presentation news for the day with that your sister Vlad prepared. Very amazing show producer, and I'll do that and end this up. So thanks, guys, and I'll end with the news of the day. All right, so last thing, I follow, and my fiance and I follow Twitter. I'll have to bring her on the show one of these days. She's getting famous. But I just wanted to show you what we think is really the most noteworthy things of the day from what's going on. And I'm going to first of all play one of the things that I've seen in this war is, I don't think since Winston Churchill and the Battle of Battle of Britain in World War II, we've seen such a powerful leader in terms of his storytelling ability and his speaking ability. And this is something I've studied throughout history, is the power of narrative and stories and speeches and leadership to change events. And I think this is a great example of President Zelensky's continued storytelling prowess here. So this is his appeal directly to the Russian people.
І хоче бути покритою трупами військових. Забирайтеся додому усією своєю армією. Скажіть своєму командуванню, що ви хочете жити, що ви не хочете умирати, ви хочете жити. Це не воїни над державою. Це розгублені діти, яких використали. Заберіть їх додому.
And if you look at the two styles of leadership, the images that President Zelensky releases of how he leads, breaking bread with soldiers in combat, versus President Putin, who refuses to sit closer than 30 feet away from his advisors, as if he's paranoid about his health from COVID, or just wants to establish extreme psychopathic dominance visually. I don't know. And that's inspiring Ukrainians from all walks of life. Elderly babushkas are joining cocktail parties across Ukraine. I said cocktail partiers here, but yeah, cocktail parties. And well-known Turkish chef. We have a well-known Turkish chef who's getting on television and, supporting Ukraine by sending supplies. And it's pretty amazing to see Turkey, which has strong ties with both Russia and Ukraine, decisively come down on the side of Ukraine in this conflict, from supplying their drones to voting against Russia in the United Nations, condemning the invasion, closing the Straits of Bosporus so that no more Russian warships can get into the Black Sea, because they do need as much help as they can get. And, as we spoke about in this show tonight, 1 million refugees, over 1 million, have now fled Ukraine in a week after Russia invaded the country. And this is according to the United Nations Refugee Agency. It could go up as high as several million if the conflict continues to drag on. And these are scenes of people arriving at the Berlin train station, and German citizens showing up at the train station, offering their homes, offering their homes to people. You can see reunions and just complete strangers
On the
taking
right
people
side,
in.
there is like thousands of people from Berlin offering place to stay. This is absolutely incredible. You just like enter the building and there are like thousands of people actually supporting, like, and they say they have like a saying in the paper in Ukrainian, in English, in Russian.
Вы добрались, уже все хорошо. Да, не. I was very scared and I had to get out from this hell, and now I'm here. I hope I'm in a safe place.
The situation was very difficult because they were only evacuating women and children. So me as a man, I was not allowed to enter in the train or in the bus, so I had to walk about 30 kilometers on foot to access the border with a temperature of -3 degrees. So it was really horrible.
This is photos from the train station near the Polish border. Hundreds of Ukrainians, many children sitting on the floor, lining up to get free food, clothes, accommodations, and Polish really being amazing in welcoming in refugees also. And I'm here in Poland, and it's just amazing to see everyone pulling together. This is moving on to some more disturbing images of what's going on. Russians are increasingly resorting to terror tactics. This is footage from Chernihiv, residential area under artillery attack. And Ukrainian special forces have now announced that they are not taking prisoners when they come across Russian artillery gun crews for their war crimes. It's starting to get quite brutal on both sides in terms of the escalation.
Пиздец. И это они, блядь, не бомбят дома жилые? Это пиздец.
This is some residential buildings in Kharkiv here. Just been bombed. Okay, Katya's commentary here.
Опять, короче, район где-то то ли парк Шевченко, то ли... О, летит, блядь! Сука! Твою мать! Пизда, блядь! Ёбаные суки, блядь! О!
And the aftermath of a Russian airstrike on the village of Yakovlevka, sorry. And here's Chernihiv residential buildings.
Вот так ни по ком не стреляют, ребята. Только что жилой дом просто пролетело. Люди в аптеку стояли. Просто. Вот вам. Что происходит, что мне показывают по новостям.
These were the citizens, a town in Ukraine, Enerhodar. The citizens went out to stop an armored convoy. The Ukrainians blocked the road. Russians fire gunshots. Ukrainians sing their national anthem. And then the Russians throw a grenade.
В одно место себе стрельните! Ого! Ну это наши вооруженьки! Уроды! В людей стреляют! Смотрите, скоты! Русский мир едет! Русский мир идет, вот такое! Равно. Да ты шо? Ой-ой-ой-ой, господи, оторвало ногу человеку. Скоты, вот это русский мир.
And an artillery shell that hit the Assumption Cathedral in Kharkiv. People were hiding in the cathedral, and both countries share the same Eastern Orthodox faith, and the Russians seem to not even respect their own religious buildings. There's rumors, and I can't confirm this, so I'll wait to confirm it, that the Belarusian military is refusing to attack Ukraine. That's why they haven't crossed the border yet. A lieutenant colonel in the airborne, I heard, was telling the soldiers not to leave the barracks. But we need more evidence of that, and we'll look at verifying that. And President Zelensky said foreign fighters have begun to arrive in Ukraine to help the battle against the Russians. Ukraine is already greeting foreign volunteers. The first 16,000 from all over the world have registered, and they're already on their way to protect freedom and life for us and for all. On the same day, Russians are protesting in ever increasing numbers, and let's call it bold actions here. This is how they're treated. And Russian police arrest anti-war protesters in St. Petersburg. And children and their parents were arrested in Moscow for bringing flowers to the embassy of Ukraine.
Говорили, что все будет хорошо, ты мне веришь? Потому что задача, чтобы много людей не собиралось, и чтобы они не говорили, что они против войны, понимаешь? Выйдем, конечно, не волнуйся, пожалуйста, сейчас ты рядом.
And the EU announced today they're providing 1.2 billion euros. And European Commission Vice President Valdis Dombrovskis announced that at least 600 million euros without conditions will be provided next month in March, or this month, actually, sorry. And President Putin said his nuclear forces will be put on high alert. And this is how Russia's preparing for future escalations. This is Ukrainian military's estimates of Russian losses. 9,000 troops, this has to be confirmed, but over 900 armored personnel carriers, 200 tanks, 31 helicopters, 374 cars, 42 artillery, rocket launch systems. And the other thing, I've heard reports by Western media confirming at least 6,000 on their estimates. There's been mobile crematoriums that Russians are using to cremate troops on the border of Belarus and Ukraine. And also, Ukraine has actually set aside 20 railroad train refrigerator cars for bodies of Russian soldiers that they've recovered, so that they can repatriate them to Russian territory. And they've also offered mothers to be able to come to Kyiv and Ukraine and retrieve their sons who've been captured. So some pretty astounding things happening on the front. And Ukrainian armed forces announced they've killed Major General Andrei Sukhovetsky, a Spetsnaz commander and deputy chief of the 41st Army in Novosibirsk, was confirmed by a spokesperson for the Russian paratroopers union. And this is a very high-ranking officer that they've lost. And these are Ukrainian soldiers who are raising their national flag over the town of Bucha. A very tough battle west of Kyiv was fought there. It was recently retaken by Ukrainian soldiers.
Місто Буча, 3 березня 22-го року. Піднімаємо український прапор над містом.
And more abandoned supply vehicles. Every vehicle that you see that carries fuel and supplies and artillery shells like these ones is just going to exacerbate the massive issues the Russian army is facing with vehicles that have run out of fuel and are blocking the road. You can see the Ukrainian territorial defense are making great use of this equipment for resupplying their own army. And this is a prominent Russian businessman, public figure and politician, sharing and speaking out ever more boldly about his feelings on the war in Russia.
Я не знаю, что вам сказать, кроме простить. Простите.
And this Russian man is also not feeling so great about his country. This is a scene from inside of Russia.
Гори эта хуйня в аду. Я русский, мне стыдно сегодня, что я русский, простите нас. Я хочу, чтобы вы понимали, не все в России разделяют позицию этого фашиста. Простите, братья, слава Украине!
Героям слава!
Actually, that's inside Ukraine, isn't it? That was from inside Ukraine? Yeah, sorry. A Ukrainian who had a Russian passport. Pretty amazing image this morning at sunrise, a picture taken in Kyiv. The image of the Archangel Michael, which is actually, my father had a church, St. Michael's and All Angels, so over Kyiv today. And last video, I'll just show you Ukraine on Instagram, on Twitter, on all of the social media has done a phenomenal job, I think, led by their president, a comedian, an entertainer, a storyteller, in just bringing the world to their side, which has led to money, to weapons, to volunteer fighters, to devastating sanctions on the Russian economy. It's hard to imagine the turn of events in the last 8 days. Before this war started, everyone had pretty much given Ukraine up for dead to the Russian army. Okay, well, that is the end of the update on the news that I believe is relevant for today, straight from the source, the people we're following on Twitter, and the different people that we believe are, this is an information war. I'm certainly not neutral in this. I firmly support Ukraine in their fight for independence. As a proud Ukrainian resident that's lived there for over 3 years, engaged to my fiance Vlad's sister there, my fiance who's from Ukraine, and whole family still back there in Ukraine. But it's important, I think, to spread the word about what's happening there and use some of this footage that we share every time we do the show and give you some context beyond the headlines and the mainstream stories. So thanks again for watching. If you would like to support people like Robert shared at the beginning of the show, crossing the border, we're about to partner with a registered nonprofit that helps refugees in Ukraine. And so you can just donate to the GoFundMe, where all the money from that will go to paying for evacuation costs of Ukrainians that we're supporting with my team that's also working to do that as we set up our own nonprofit. The Borderlands Project is going to be dedicated as long as I'm running it, which should be a long time here, to winning the fight here in Ukraine by helping the people stay strong through this with supplies to the people, which are the heart of the country. Just people stuck in the combat zone and leaving the people that the soldiers on the front, like Yuri and the territorial defense people, are fighting for, and helping them, stay strong and united as a society, and getting back to normal when this is over, and rebuilding the country with the outpouring of support, economic, moral, spiritual, all the support that they're getting from the world. Ukraine's going to come back, I believe, out of this stronger than ever. That's the story all Ukrainians believe, and they're just figuring out how to write the ending as quickly as possible. And I think we all owe it to them to support them in this effort. No matter what your political persuasion is, in America or other places, I think we can all agree that Ukraine is worthy of our support and our admiration. And the least we can do is unite around this cause. There's not many things that unite people across the world, especially in Western politics, but I think this one is, and I'm very proud of the unity I'm seeing in our country and across the West towards Ukrainian people. And we need to keep that up. And I hope this helps. Thanks a lot. Have a good night and join us next time.